Introduction: The Echo in the Silent Room. My child, come close. Sit with me in the quietness of this hour. Let the noise of the world outside fade into nothingness. Let the frantic rushing of your day come to a complete halt. I see the thoughts that wander through your mind, and I hear the questions you are afraid to ask aloud. You look around at the world, at its brokenness, its beauty, its chaos, and its silent pain. You look at the cruelty that structural powers inflict on the weak, and you look at the silent, aching loneliness that fills modern homes. And you have come to a profound conclusion. You look at the ancient stories of a horned creature, a fallen angel ruling a kingdom of fire, a cosmic villain who orchestrates every bad thought, and you say, I do not believe in him. I do not believe in the devil. You wonder if this thought distances you from me. You wonder if your doubt makes you an outcast in the kingdom of the Spirit. You worry that by rejecting the traditional monster of theology, you have somehow rejected me. Hear me clearly, and let my words bring peace to your trembling soul. I am not offended by your disbelief in monsters. I am not searching for followers who are driven by the fear of a ghost in the dark. Fear is a poor foundation for love. If you only follow me because you are running away from a terrifying tormentor, then you are not running toward me out of love. You are running out of panic. And panic can never build a home for the spirit. If you do not believe in a personified enemy, let us look together at what remains. Let us look at what is real, what is tangible, and what truly requires your attention. When you remove the image of an external tempter, you are left with something far more profound and far more demanding. You are left with yourself. You are left with the human heart. You are left with the reality of human choices, human suffering, and human potential. And that is exactly where I have always wanted to speak to you. I do not want to talk to you about a distant celestial war. I want to talk to you about the war that happens inside your own chest every single morning when you wake up. Chapter 1. The Weight of Your Freedom. When you say there is no devil, you take a heavy, beautiful, and terrifying responsibility upon your shoulders. You are making a declaration of radical accountability. You are saying that the cruelty in the world cannot be blamed on a cosmic scapegoat. You are admitting that when humanity hurts, it is humanity that inflicts the wound. It is highly comfortable for human beings to create a devil. Throughout history, whenever nations have marched to war, whenever neighbors have turned against neighbors, they have claimed that an evil spirit possessed them or that the enemy was a demon. It is easy to say, the devil made them do it. It is easy to point to a shadow outside of ourselves and say, there is the source of all our malice. We are just innocent victims caught in his trap. But I tell you, the truth is closer to you than your own breath. The capacity for darkness does not require a supernatural whisperer. It requires only a human will that has forgotten how to love. It requires only a human heart that has chosen its own comfort over another person's survival. Think of the history of your world. Think of the grand empires that crushed the poor under the wheels of their golden chariots. Think of the modern corporate systems that exploit the desperate just to increase a number on a screen. Think of the words that break the spirits of children, spoken by parents who are too stressed or too proud to heal their own wounds. Was there a red demon standing in those rooms, forcing the lips to move? No, my child. There was something far more real. There was fear, there was greed, and there was a total absence of empathy. When I walked the dusty roads of Galilee, I did not spend my days searching for shadows in the clouds. I spent my days looking into the eyes of men and women. I walked through the crowded marketplaces. I sat at the tables of the outcasts, and I stood in the magnificent courts of the religious elite. I saw the greed in the hearts of the religious leaders who used my Father's name to steal houses from widows. I saw the cold indifference in the hearts of the Roman rulers who viewed human lives as mere numbers on a tax ledger. And I saw the capacity for betrayal in my closest friends, men who had seen my miracles but still succumbed to their own cowardice when the darkness closed in. Without a devil, your freedom becomes absolute, and with absolute freedom comes absolute weight. Every choice you make belongs entirely to you. Every bitter word you speak, every act of mercy you perform, every moment of greed you indulge, and every sacrifice of love you make, they are your own. They are your signature upon the canvas of reality. Do not fear this weight, my child. To be fully free is to be fully human. And it is precisely in this freedom, in this fragile and terrifying space of choice, that my love meets you. I do not want mechanical servants who cannot choose evil. I want conscious companions who see the dark, understand its power, and choose the light anyway. Chapter 2. The Garden Within You. Let us speak deeply of temptation. If there is no adversary outside of you, if there is no invisible spirit placing bad thoughts into your brain, then what is that pull you feel toward the dark? What is that sudden, violent impulse to strike back when you are hurt? What is that deep, aching hunger to possess more than you need, even if it means others have less? Why does it sometimes feel so effortless to be cruel and so difficult to be patient? It is the soil of the human condition. Inside every single soul, there is a vast, untamed garden. In this garden, from the moment you are born, two distinct kinds of seeds are planted deep within the earth. There are seeds of light, compassion, humility, patience, generosity, and truth. And right next to them, sharing the very same soil, there are seeds of shadow, fear, pride, envy, lust for power, and isolation. Temptation is not a demon knocking on your door in the middle of the night. Temptation is the automatic watering of the wrong seeds. It is a psychological response to the environment around you. When you feel lonely, when you feel ignored by the world, fear whispers that you must protect yourself at all costs. It tells you that you must lie, cheat, or deceive others just to ensure your own security. When you feel powerless, when the world has crushed your dignity, pride whispers that you must elevate yourself above your brothers and sisters, that you must mock them, demeaning them, and dominate them just to feel safe and strong again. You do not need a devil to tempt you when fear is already living in the untamed, unhealed corners of your own mind. I am not asking you to fight an invisible war in the heavens with spiritual weapons. I am asking you to tend to your inner garden with absolute honesty. Notice which seeds you are feeding today with your attention, your time, and your thoughts. When anger rises within you like a sudden fire, do not blame a fallen angel. Do not say that Satan is attacking you. Look directly at the anger. Sit with it. Ask it where it hurts. Ask it what it is afraid of losing. Bring that anger out of the dark basement of your mind and into my warm, forgiving light so that it may be healed, not buried. For what you bury in the dark will not disappear. It will only grow mutated, stronger, and more toxic in secret, waiting for the next moment of weakness to explode. Chapter 3. The True Nature of Evil. If you do not believe in the devil, you must still reckon with the massive, undeniable existence of evil in your world. You cannot look at the wars that tear nations apart, the human trafficking that robs the young of their innocence, or even the casual, devastating cruelty of an anonymous viral comment, and say that everything is perfectly fine. Evil is real, but we must understand what it actually is. Evil is not an independent substance. It is not a creation of God that went wrong. It is not a kingdom with a black throne and a dark army. Evil is simply the absence of love, just as darkness is simply the absence of light, and cold is simply the absence of heat. A room cannot be filled with darkness by pouring black paint into the air. It can only be emptied of light by turning off the lamp. When human beings withdraw their love, when they close their eyes to the suffering of their neighbors, when they turn their backs on the fundamental truth of their interconnectedness, a spiritual vacuum is created. And into that empty vacuum rushes everything you call evil. You do not need to believe in a dark lord to see that when a human heart freezes over, it automatically becomes a weapon of destruction. When a society decides that some human lives are worth less than others, when it prioritizes profits over people and power over peace, the results are monstrous. But the source is not a monster hiding under the earth. The source is a lack of empathy, a lack of courage, a lack of vision, a lack of me. Therefore, do not waste your precious energy fighting an enemy that is an illusion. Do not spend your life looking for demons in the corners of your house, casting out bad spirits from your furniture, or blaming cosmic forces for your bad habits. Instead, look for the places where light is missing. Look for the vacuums in your community, in your family, and in your own soul. Where there is hatred, do not meet it with more hatred. Bring my love. Where there is deep injury, do not seek revenge. Bring my pardon. Where there is magnifying doubt, bring faith. This is how the vacuum is filled. This is how the shadow is naturally undone. You do not fight darkness by hitting it with a stick. You fight darkness by turning on the light. Chapter 4. The Kingdom is Handmade. Many religious people believe that the world is a giant, dramatic battlefield where God and the devil are locked in an eternal combat over human souls. They live in a state of constant anxiety, watching the news with dread, waiting for a cataclysmic cosmic rescue, believing that they are powerless bystanders in a spiritual war. But I told you clearly long ago, when I walked the earth, the kingdom of heaven is not a political empire that comes with visible signs. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It is among you. If the kingdom is within you, then its construction is entirely in your hands. If there is no devil to stop you, then there is no excuse left for your delay. You can no longer say, I would love my enemy, but the spiritual warfare is too intense. You can no longer say, I would build a better world. I would help the poor. I would fix my broken relationship, but the prince of this world prevents me. The moment you realize there is no external tyrant blocking your way, you are left face-to-face with your own choices. Every single time you choose to forgive someone who has deeply wronged you, you are laying a golden brick in the foundation of the kingdom. Every time you speak up for those who have no voice, every time you share your bread with the hungry, every time you restrain your tongue from speaking a hurtful gossip, you are actively dismantling the darkness. You do not need to wait for a final battle in the sky to see the victory of good over evil. The battle is decided every single morning in the quiet privacy of your own home, when you decide how to treat the person next to you, how to respond to an insult, and how to use your resources. I did not come to earth to teach you how to fear the dark, nor did I come to give you a detailed demonology so you could catalog your enemies. I came to show you how to become the light. When you understand that you are the one responsible for bringing love into your immediate reality, the myths of ancient monsters fade away like mist under the morning sun. You realize that you are not a passive prize to be won by competing deities. You are the living vessel, the hands and feet, through which my eternal peace enters this physical world. Chapter 5. The Illusion of the Scapegoat. Let us examine why humanity has clung to the idea of the devil for so many centuries. It is not because he is a myth. The scriptures reveal that the enemy is a real, personal spiritual entity. He was created as a beautiful angel of light, but through his own pride, he rebelled against my Father and fell from heaven. He is the father of lies, and his real work is to deceive you, to separate you from love, and to cause chaos in your world. But the ultimate deception of the enemy is not just that he exists. It is that he wants you to focus all your attention on him. He wants you to live in fear of his power, to obsess over his shadows, and to use him as a cosmic excuse for your own bad choices. When Adam sinned, he blamed Eve, and Eve said the serpent deceived her. No one wanted to say, I chose this path. By obsessing over the enemy, humanity creates a dangerous double standard. People pretend they are pure just because they hate the devil, while they continue to treat their families with bitterness and their neighbors with contempt. I tell you, the devil is real, but he is already defeated by my cross. He has no authority over a soul that belongs to my Father. Therefore, your call is not to look at the shadow. Your call is to look at the light. Do not waste your days fighting imaginary monsters in the clouds or giving the enemy credit for your own lack of discipline. When you drop the excuse of the scapegoat, you begin the real process of transformation. You stop looking at the fallen angel and you start focusing entirely on God. You face your real flaws, bring them to my mercy, and let my grace heal your soul. You cannot heal a disease that you pretend is caused by a ghost, and you cannot win a battle if you are looking at the enemy instead of looking at me. Chapter 6. The Anatomy of Grace. If there is no devil to punish, And if there is no cosmic enemy to blame, then how do we understand grace? Grace is not a legal pardon issued by a judge to save you from an executioner. Grace is the relentless, unconditional pouring of my life into yours, designed to strengthen your soul so that you can make choices aligned with love. Think of a child learning to walk. The child takes 2 steps, stumbles, and falls onto the hard floor. The parent does not look around the room and scream that an evil spirit tripped the child. The parent knows that falling is simply a natural part of learning how to balance. The parent does not punish the child for falling. The parent runs over, lifts the child up, rubs the bruised knee, and says, "Try again, I am right here." This is how my Father and I view your spiritual journey. When you stumble into selfishness, when you trip over your own pride, we do not see a demonic possession. We see a developing soul that is still learning how to love in a complicated, heavy world. We do not look at you with anger. We look at you with an infinite, aching desire to help you stand back up. You do not need to perform rituals to protect yourself from curses. You do not need to live in terror of generational spirits. The only force that truly shape your destiny is the degree to which you open your heart to my grace. My grace is an open door that no entity, no past mistake, and no human failure can ever shut. It is a constant, flowing river of fresh starts. Every breath you take is a chance to reset your mind, to forgive yourself, to forgive others, and to begin building a life of beauty. Chapter 7. Overcoming the Enemy Within. Let us practicalize this journey. Since the real battlefield is within your own mind, you must learn how to recognize the true enemies of your peace. The true enemies do not have names like Lucifer or Beelzebub. Their names are much more familiar to you. Their names are judgment, resentment, unforgiveness, and despair. When you look at another person and immediately judge their worth based on their appearance, their politics, or their mistakes, you are allowing the enemy of judgment to rule your mind. You are creating a separation where there should be a bridge. When someone hurts you, and you hold on to that pain for years, turning it into a bitter weapon that you use against everyone else, you are allowing resentment to poison your system. To overcome these internal enemies, you must practice the discipline of awareness. When a thought of hatred or despair enters your mind, do not panic. Do not think you are a bad person because a bad thought crossed your awareness. A thought is just a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. You have the power to say to that thought, "I see you, but I do not belong to you. I see you, judgment, but I choose empathy instead. I see you, fear, but I choose to trust in my Father's love instead." This is what it truly means to cast out demons. It means replacing thoughts of scarcity with thoughts of abundance, thoughts of division with thoughts of unity, and thoughts of revenge with thoughts of reconciliation. Chapter 8. The Mirror of Compassion. When you fully embrace the idea that there is no devil, your view of other human beings will change radically. You will stop seeing people as agents of Satan or tools of the darkness. You will begin to see them through the mirror of deep compassion. When you see a person acting with extreme cruelty, shouting words of hatred, or destroying things of beauty, your first instinct will no longer be to condemn them as evil. Instead, you will ask yourself, what immense level of pain must this person be experiencing inside their own soul to produce such terrible actions? What seeds of shadow were watered in their childhood? What terrifying fears are driving their current behavior? This does not mean you excuse their actions. It does not mean you allow them to cause harm. You must still protect the innocent and stand firmly for justice. But you will do so without hatred in your heart. You will realize that the person who is causing harm is himself a deeply wounded prisoner of his own unhealed mind. I showed you this highest form of compassion when I hung upon the cross. As the soldiers drove the nails into my hands, as the crowds mocked my suffering, I did not call down fire from heaven to destroy them. I did not curse them as children of the devil. I looked at them through the eyes of infinite sorrow and love, and I said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." They did not know what they were doing because they were blinded by their own collective fear and pride. They were not monsters. They were lost children. and you are called to see the world exactly as I saw it. Chapter 9. The Architecture of Fear. Let us look closely at how fear operates within your daily decisions. Fear is the most efficient architect of human distance. When you believe in an external demon, it is easy to look at your anxiety and say that a dark spirit is attacking your mind. But I tell you, fear is a natural biological reaction to a world you do not yet fully trust. It is the protective wall your ego builds when it feels exposed to pain, rejection, or failure. When you live in fear, you naturally begin to see everyone around you as a potential enemy. You protect your money because you fear poverty. You protect your pride because you fear insignificance. You protect your borders because you fear the stranger. You do not need a supernatural entity to create a world of division when fear is already doing the work for you. Every time you allow fear to dictate your actions, you are voluntarily stepping out of my light and into a self-made shadow. To dismantle this architecture, you must learn to look at your fear without shame. When you feel the tight knot of anxiety in your chest, do not treat it as a spiritual curse. Treat it as a child that needs to be comforted. Bring that fear directly to me in prayer. Let me remind you that you are eternally secure in my Father's hands. When you realize that nothing in this world can truly destroy the essence of who you are, the walls of fear begin to crumble. You become free to love without conditions and to give without counting the cost. Chapter 10. The Power of Absolute Presence. Many people spend their entire spiritual lives living in the past or projecting into the future. They carry the heavy bags of yesterday's regrets and the paralyzing anxieties of tomorrow's uncertainties. They wonder what the devil is planning for their future or how he ruined their past. But I tell you, the only place where reality exists is in the absolute present moment. The present moment is the only space where you can actually meet me, because I am the eternal I am, not the I was or the I will be. When you bring your full attention to the right now, the illusions of darkness dissolve. Darkness cannot exist in the light of full awareness. Think of the simple tasks of your day: washing the dishes, speaking to a coworker, or walking through a park. When you perform these actions with total presence, they become holy rituals. They become expressions of divine life. The strategy of isolation does not rely on a dark lord whispering complex theological lies into your ears. It relies on a very simple distraction: keeping your mind anywhere except where your body currently is. If you are constantly thinking about your next task while your child is speaking to you, you are missing the kingdom of heaven in that moment. Practice the discipline of being exactly where you are. Breathe in my peace. Anchor yourself in the present, and you will find that the shadow has no room to breathe. Chapter 11. Healing the Ancestral Shadow. Throughout your world, families carry invisible weights passed down from generation to generation. You see lines of bitterness, cycles of addiction, patterns of abuse, and silent reservoirs of depression. Traditional thinking often labels these as generational curses or demonic strongholds that require complex spiritual warfare to break. But let us look at the truth with a cleaner, more practical lens. A generational shadow is simply unhealed trauma that has been repeated because no one had the courage to stop and heal it. A child watches a parent respond to anger with violence, and without knowing it, the child learns that violence is the language of survival. A mother passes her deep insecurities onto her daughter through critical words, and the cycle continues. This is not the work of a cosmic monster. This is the passing of a torch of pain from one wounded hand to another. You do not break this cycle by fighting demons in the sky. You break it by standing still and refusing to pass the torch to the next generation. You have been given the magnificent power to be the circuit breaker in your family line. When you choose to go to therapy, when you choose to sit in silence and heal your childhood wounds, when you choose to forgive a parent who was too broken to love you correctly, you are doing the highest form of spiritual work. You are transforming ancestral shadow into divine light. It takes immense courage to look at the pain of your family and say, "This ends with me." But remember, I am standing right next to you as you make that choice. My grace is the ultimate antidote to the past. Chapter 12. the symphony of interconnectedness. Let us conclude our deep exploration by looking at the grand design of my Father's creation. You live in a universe where nothing exists in isolation. The breath you take right now is the same air that has traveled through ancient forests, over vast oceans, and through the lungs of countless generations before you. The food on your table is the result of the earth's soil, the rain from the clouds, the warmth of the sun, and the hard labor of human hands you will never meet. You are fundamentally, intricately connected to every living thing. When you do not believe in the devil, you realize that any harm you inflict on another person is a harm you are ultimately inflicting on yourself. When you speak a word of hatred toward a neighbor, you are injecting poison into the very collective body of humanity that you belong to. Conversely, when you perform a random act of kindness to a stranger, you are lifting the vibration of the entire world. There are no private actions. Every movement of your heart ripples across the web of existence. This is the ultimate secret of the kingdom. Love is not just a moral duty or a religious command. Love is the actual fabric of reality. It is the gravity that holds the spiritual universe together. When you choose to align your life with this truth, you enter into a beautiful symphony. You stop trying to survive as a separate, terrified ego, and you begin to flow as a conscious wave in the infinite ocean of my Father's love. Walk in this deep awareness. Know that you are part of a sacred whole, and let your life be a song of harmony. Conclusion: walk into the light. My beloved child, let go once and for all of the need to argue about the geography of hell, the theology of the fall, or the literal existence of a cosmic tempter. These are intellectual distractions for minds that are afraid to look into the mirror of their own daily lives. These are debates that happen in university halls and church basements, but they do not dry the tears of a crying child, and they do not heal a broken heart. Whether you believe in the devil or whether you discard him entirely from your worldview, my eternal command to you remains absolutely unchanged. Love one another as I have loved you. There is no asterisk on that command. There is no exception based on what you believe about theology. If you choose to live your life without the concept of a cosmic enemy, then live fully, boldly, and courageously in the brilliant reality of your own high calling. Be brave enough to own your mistakes without making excuses. Be gentle enough to forgive yourself when you stumble, knowing that I have already forgiven you before you even fell. And be radiant enough to chase away the darkness of loneliness, despair, and hatred wherever your feet may tread on this earth. You are not alone in this grand, majestic responsibility of building the kingdom. I am with you, not as a distant warrior fighting a war in the heavens, but as a quiet, warm, and steady presence guiding your every step, breathing deep peace into your soul, and constantly reminding you of who you truly are. You are my child. You are the light of this world. Walk confidently in that light, and let the shadows take care of themselves. Peace be with you.